I think what we're seeing is the threat of American monoculture bleeding out. The Super Bowl is the last monoculture event that the majority of the country watches together. And I think that this year's audience is supposed to be estimated at 125 million. Well, 20 million people went and watched Turning Point USA's alternate Super Bowl show, a headline by the likes of Lee Brice and Kid Rock. And, that's fine. But I think that the NFL, as Roger Goodell looks increasingly for foreign audiences to expand market share, was willing to have a halftime show that was entirely in Spanish, knowing that about 90% of the United States audience couldn't understand what was being sung. And if Turning Point USA is successful with the backing of the President of the United States of having this alternate event where they bleed off some of that audience, I don't think that's good for the country overall. But if, on the other hand, if the NFL responds and they find someone who's, able to bring back that audience at halftime, then, it'll continue to be that singular event. As with regards to Bad Bunny, I mean, I didn't really understand anything that he was singing. I thought he was kind of mid in comparison to some of these more historic halftime shows. I mean, the guy doesn't hold a candle to Beyonce or Prince or Creed, but yeah, it was good. It also was inoffensive. I thought that there was going to be a pulsating middle finger to the administration, that he was going to turn this into a political statement, but it really wasn't. I mean, I know some
It was
people are
inoffensive
complaining.
because you couldn't understand what he was saying. Some
That
of
that that,
the
that
some
is
of the lyrics to some of his songs, although I understand they were changed for broadcast, are
yeah,
pretty filthy.
pretty filthy.
Well,
So
not
so are
last
Kid
night they
Rocks,
weren't.
right? I
Yeah.
mean, but there wasn't any overt anti-ICE or anti-Trump sentiment. And I think that, the NFL probably stepped in and said, "Hey, Bad Bunny, let's see your set list." But overall, I mean, is this that memorable? I don't think so.
I thought I Carl. I guess I'm just the crusty guy on the lawn still. I thought it sucked. I mean, I couldn't understand it. I speak un poquito de Spanish,
You
and
lived
I
in
couldn't
Mexico,
understand.
Tom,
I did,
and you lived in Miami.
exactly.
You've gotten rusty.
And here's the thing. I'm a fan of Latin culture. I'm a fan. I've lived, as I said, I've lived in Miami. I've lived in Mexico City. Like but I just thought it sucked. And
Okay,
the
what grade
intro
would
to
you give it? So you're saying a C minus then?
yeah, I didn't think it was
Phil,
very
and you
good.
give it a C?
I give it like a B minus.
All
It's
right, well,
just
I give it
like,
an A plus. So that's a solid
Oh,
B right
come
there.
on, Kenan.
Yeah.
You can't even be serious about
Yeah,
that. I mean,
the more I
serious.
think about this, the more I like it. Isn't that weird?
That's terrible. That's a terrible take, honestly. I mean, it's just but they open to Phil's point, which I think is interesting. They open the intro to the Super Bowl. If you watch the intro to the Super Bowl, they were talking about how it was that has been this singular event. It's like I watched it with my grandparents. I always watched it with my family, and everyone would gather around and watch. And then you have a guy on who's basically catering to, I don't know, 10%, 20% at most of the audience. It's not very unifying. And again, I'm not knocking Bad Bunny. This is a choice that the NFL made. He was just doing what he was supposed to do. But I didn't think it was
Lady
very good.
Gaga
I know
Lady
Megan.
Gaga sung partly in English. You understood that part.
I know Megan had a pretty critical take on it.
To get up there and perform the whole show in Spanish is a middle finger to the rest of America.
But I have to say, maybe not surprisingly to people who listen to this program, I kind of agree with Megan a little bit. I didn't, and I'm not one who typically gets exercised about
Wait, what did Megan
halftime
Kelly
shows
say?
This is supposed to be a unifying event for the country, not for the Latinos.
and the politics of it. And I also agree with you. The one part of your take that I do agree with, Carl, is I thought Lady Gaga was the best part of that show, in part because she was singing in a language that I could actually understand, and it still had all the Latin flair to it. It was, but she's obviously a real talent, and that was the highlight.
Megyn Kelly or Lady Gaga?
Both. No, Lady Gaga for the halftime show. But I did think the Turning Point USA sort of alternate show, which as Phil mentioned, I mean, I saw 5 million, then I saw 10 million. I don't know, 20 million. I don't know
It's
what
20
the actual,
million this morning. Yeah.
Is it 20 million this morning?
I did not
mean,
see any of it, so I can't comment.
Okay. Well,
I will
I have
say
nothing against Kid Rock, of course.
the Turning Point USA show, I thought it was going to be a gimmick. And certainly, I think a lot of audiences were unfamiliar with Jack Posobiec, who did the introduction. But as far as the musical talent goes, Lee Bryce was great. The female country music singer, I forget her name right now. I thought she was phenomenal. Kid Rock, I mean, I think I'd get run out of town if I recited some of his lyrics. I mean, he's not someone who the evangelical Trump base would be comfortable with, but his cover of Till I Can't was really good.
Yeah.
I mean, it was well done.
The problem is it was 35 minutes long. I mean, by the time Kid Rock even showed up, like halftime was over. I mean, it was
Drake May needed an hour and 35 minutes. What'd you think?
I don't even think Tom, 24 hours would have helped
ads?
him out. Honestly,
Are we gonna talk about
Carl.
the ads?
Well, yeah, we're going to get to the ads.
Okay.
Do we have anything else to say about?
Yeah, one more thing. I think Real Clear Politics next year should do our halftime. A Real Clear Politics.
We should do a halftime show?
Yeah, Turning Point can get 20 million. I bet we could get 5 million. I'll be the MC, Tom. Be music I like.
Well,
I won't be singing in either English or Spanish.
So, Phil, you cover the president. And as you mentioned, he put out a True Social post not minutes after Bad Bunny finished, saying that this was the worst halftime show ever. Having covered Trump, that was expected, right? You knew that was going to happen. Yeah, you wouldn't miss an opportunity.
No, it was expected, and again, it was relatively tame. This was supposed to be
for
like
Trump.
for Trump, and also for Bad Bunny. I mean, like, I don't think it was even that overtly political. I agree. I think that 90% of the country got snubbed when they couldn't understand the lyrics of the song. But the one thing that Donald Trump is absolutely right about, and it was in that True Social post, it was that the new kickoff rules suck. And they should change it back to the way it used to be. You get paid millions of dollars. You are putting your body on the line already. If the college athletes can have a real American kickoff, so can these professionals. And I know that the president likes to do things by executive order, but there ought to be a constitutional amendment to get rid of the new dynamic kickoff.
Now, there's a hot take
the reason why there ought to be is because it used to be exciting when there were onside kicks. Pat McAfee of the Indianapolis Colts turned that into an art form. Go spend 5 minutes watching his highlights, and you'll see how great it used to be. Now it isn't. They ought to change it back. Roger Goodell should be ashamed.
Well, Trump's been beating that drum for a while, so I do think most people don't like the new kickoff rule.
No,
it is kind of.
They did it for safety. I mean, they had to. Yeah, NFL years ago had to change the word to special teams because the original word was Suicide Squad. They're just doing it for player safety, guys.
Well, they also don't let them touch the quarterbacks anymore, and they throw all these penalties on hits that used to be well within bounds, and now the game has softened up a bit. There's no question about it. All right, the last thing I want to say before we go on to the ads is I just want my Super Bowls to have no politics. I don't want them to be politicized. I don't want halftime shows that become cultural flashpoints. I want something that is, appeals to 80% of the country, so we don't have to have these stupid debates about Bad Bunny. I'm sick of talking about him, and I'm glad it's over, and I'm glad my Seahawks won.